Well, hey everyone, welcome back to the cabin. I'm getting ready to work on the fire pit for the smokehouse. I've actually got this pit dug out now. I got the pipe in the ground, partially buried. I've got my cement collar up there at the top around the pipe. And I'm going to end up cutting that plastic barrel off, and then I'll bank up some dirt around that to kind of insulate it from the bottom of the wooden structure. But I've got some cap blocks right here that I'm leaning on that I'm going to lay down in there, and I'm going to have to get some fire brick to put on the inside. But it should be a whole lot of fun building this. Then I think on the front of it I've got some of that stone left that I built the backdrop for the wood stove in the cabin there. I think that I'm going to dress that up on the front. I've also got a piece of barbecue top that I took apart yesterday. What I'm going to end up doing is cutting it because it's too long. I'll slide the two pieces together. I'm going to cut this off because we don't want this down on the bottom, because the flue is actually going to come out the top. I bought a small section of pipe with a hood on the top to go in the top of the smokehouse when I actually get it built. That way it will be able to draw really good. But this looked like it was going to be just the right size. And I'm just actually going to leave it in there. But like I said, I will cut it, pull it together, I'll drill some holes, put some screws in it, and then that will be in there. And it should last a long time. So anyway, this is going to be the top of the smokehouse fire pit. I think it was last week we got a really hard, basically pummeling rain. And it really did a job on the the potato plants, but they were still green, they were still growing, and so I didn't try to straighten them up or anything. One reason is, like I was telling you before, it's a little bit difficult on a hill like this to be able to cover those up. That's why next year I think what I'm going to do is just make it flat. That way I can actually put them in a hill and just keep building around them. But they actually did good in this raised bed, so I'm not complaining, because they really took off and they really did a good job there for a good while. But anyway, they are starting to die back just a little bit. So I'm just going to let them go. I haven't tried to dig down in there to see if I've got potatoes, but I'm sure that I do. Anyway, the beans, tell you what, I'm going to have to put my sunglasses on. I can see the gnats just swarming around that camera. The beans have done really well too. I've already cooked up, I think it's 3 messes of them. I've got more hanging in here, so we're going to have to pick those and work them up. The lettuce is starting to turn to some seed right here, so what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to try it and see. It's growing quicker than we can pick it off actually. But I think I'm going to try to cut some of these tops and maybe dry that out and save those, and try to get some starters for myself for next year. I don't know if if y'all have any suggestions, please leave them in the comments below, because this is the first time that I've ever raised lettuce that actually grew this big and grew faster than I could actually eat it. The peppers are really starting to come on now, and some of them are actually turning on the vine, so it won't be long and we'll be working up some peppers. We've also been eating a lot of tomatoes, and they are still coming on. I'll tell you what, there's nothing better, I think, for breakfast in the morning than a sausage biscuit with a slice of tomato on that, maybe even some onion, a BLT with an egg, with the tomato on there, just a plain old tomato sandwich where you actually take, now a lot of you like mayo, I don't like the taste of it. I like the Miracle Whip, but put that on there and just a slice of tomato on the sandwich. Those are good too. You know, I can remember when I was a boy, one of my first jobs was picking tomatoes, and I would take like a half a loaf of bread with me that my grandmother would give me, and I would go over to the tomato field. We would work up until lunch. I would pick a few tomatoes, slice those up, make myself a sandwich. I may have some chips and a drink or something like that, but that was my lunch. You know, it wasn't anything fancy, but it sure was good. But yeah, the onions, they've been spectacular. The tomatoes taste really, really good. The cucumbers, we've been eating a lot of those, so looking forward to the strawberries next year, and I do have some blackberries coming on. You know, I want to say many thanks to my great friend and neighbor, Lynn, Mr. Lynn, as a lot of people call him, for giving me those starts on those thornless blackberries. They actually grow about as big as your thumb, so I'm really looking forward to them getting bigger and then ripening up so that I can taste them. But hopefully I can get some more starts from him, because what I intend on doing is making this fence line all the way to the compost toilet, which would make about 60 feet. I would love to have that just full of those thornless blackberries. So Mr. Lynn, many thanks to you, because they love it up here, because I just basically put them in when they were roots, and now they are thriving. You know, we're really enjoying this gas stove. Now, I'm not sure, I think I said this before, I'm thinking that that tank will last me about a year, because I did watch a YouTube channel where a lady in the suburbs was installing, going from electric to LP, because they didn't have any natural gas in her area. And the guy brought out a 40-pound tank, and he said that it should last her between 4 to 6 months based on the size of her family. But since it's just me, and this is a 100-pound tank, I think that this thing will probably last me close to maybe 9 months or a year. I'm hoping so anyway, but it doesn't really matter. You know, when it gets low, I'll take it in and fill it up. But it cost me about $400, I think, maybe somewhere between there and $450 to actually buy the tank. It's one of the better made ones that Home Depot had. And then all the fittings to get it filled up was about 70 bucks. And then the other line, the regulator, the cutoff valve, the elbows, the little piece that went through the wall, and everything else, I think was between 400 and 450 bucks for me to get this set up. But I tell you what, it sure is nice to be able to go in there and either with the match or plug it into one of my power supplies in there so that the arresters actually spark. But it's nice to have both, so that if, say, the power went out, I can still actually light the stove with a match. But it's really nice to be able to do that. I can get up in the morning. The camp stove was really nice too, but it was just small, you know, and you couldn't get a whole lot on there. But now I've got these 4 burners plus that oven. But it's really nice to be able to go in there, crank it up, and it burns, you know, much hotter than the little camp stove, and it will cook or heat just like that. So it's really nice having this gas stove. I actually cut a couple of the biggest cabbage heads, and somebody had left a comment and they said that if I was to take a knife and cut an X in the remaining stalk, it would cause the plant to put out 4 basically smaller heads. So I thought that I would try that, and I'm looking forward to seeing if it's actually going to work, because the smaller heads of cabbage, kind of like the Brussels sprouts or whatever, you know, they're really tasty, and that's the reason that I like cooking with them a whole lot. But yeah, we're going to try that out and see if it works. Just a little update to let you guys know that the tower is actually working, I guess, as well as could be expected. And there's only, I think, 1 Starlink satellite within my area. I am still able to upload the videos. It takes about around 1 hour 45 to 2 hours just to upload like between a 15 to 20 minute video, but that's a whole lot better than driving 80 miles round trip and spending all that time and gasoline to be able, or to have to upload those videos by driving to my daughter's house. So I just wanted to give you guys a little update on the Starlink satellite tower. Now I will tell you this, had a comment from someone recently that wanted to know why I had an 8x8 platform for such a small satellite. Well, the platform is actually 4x4. My intention was to actually put a wind turbine up there as well, but after I got to building it, I thought, you know, the least little bit of vibration might screw up the signal on the satellite, and the videos are much more important to load up than having that wind turbine actually mounted on that. So I've got some ideas where I'll actually put a pole in a couple of wind turbines. I think they will work up here to help generate some power for the batteries and the solar system when I get it. So that is another thing that I've got in mind doing. I'm actually happy to report too that the solar array that Jennifer and I built and put together actually works really well. As the sun comes up and goes down on a really nice day, I'm able to bring my 1,000-watt unit outside from almost being dead to charging it up to almost 100% just by using those two solar panels, because they input about 230, sometimes maybe 240, depending on, like I said, it being a really good day and having direct sunlight. But it's really nice to be able to have the ability to charge that 1,000 watt unit up. So if I had to do it on a daily basis, you know, I could actually do that. So it has come in really handy. All right, y'all, I've got my great niece actually here today with me, Madeline, who came over to spend the night and visit. And she's going to actually help me today do some things. But what I wanted to do was take a little bit of time and cover some of these comments that you all are sending in. One of them says, thank you all for sharing your journey with us. God bless. The same to you as well. We really do appreciate all these comments because we get a lot of really good ideas that come our way. Doesn't mean that we're going to use them, but we have good ideas that come our way that actually I have incorporated with some of the things that I've decided to do around here just by listening to you all, along with the ideas that I may have for the same thing. But yeah, thank you so much for these comments that you all send. Here's another one here. You will like having your stove for canning. We mostly, or well, mostly for cooking and baking, but actually all three, because I couldn't bake without it until I get my earth oven done. Which I intend to do at some point. It's just everything else is taking a higher priority. Cooking on it, you know, a lot of times I'll come out here in the summertime and I'll cook in the outdoor kitchen. But canning, you know, and some things that you cook, you need to be able to regulate the heat really well, and it's kind of hard to do on a fire. It's much easier done on a gas stove. So yeah, it's going to really come in handy, and I greatly am happy and appreciate the fact that I've got that gas stove. And I think honestly most chefs would tell you too that they would prefer to cook on gas than they would electric, because it seems to cook better and faster too. Another one says, I think I mentioned my hammock. He said that he really loves his hammock. He goes out in the morning to watch the new day begin. Hope you enjoy yours. I intend on putting mine up at some point somewhere, because I'm sure when Madeline comes over she would want to jump in it and kind of hang out. But yeah, I do have one. It's just when things kind of settle down where I can get around to doing odd and end things, you know, it's not really a priority. So most of the days after I get up from bed, I'm out here until dark, you know, or dark 30, somewhere around in there, working. And another one says, hey Jennifer, I wish somebody would tell me what IDK means. My wife said, I don't know. I said, yeah, I don't either. No pun intended. Yeah, IDK. I don't, that's short for I don't know. So then it says, hey Jennifer, I wear hearing aids and last week I sent them in for repair. I haven't anything since. I guess maybe heard anything since. But okay, there we go. Another no pun intended. Good afternoon, Richard and Jennifer. What you doing? Ha ha ha. Like your new stove. I know you can't wait to fix breakfast, dinner, and supper. Keep up the great work. Yeah, it's been a really joy. Actually, cooked Madeline an egg a while ago. Didn't take very long. Cooked it in a little bitty cast iron skillet that I've got, and you know, it was no time and that thing was done. So I'll tell you what, that stove is really a blessing. So I thought before I would close the video today, I would ask Madeline, who comes up here maybe once or twice a year when she can, to come up here and see what I've done and kind of hang out with me. But out of all the projects that I've done up here, what do you think your most favorite one is?
I would say the kitchen is my favorite, and the chicken coop. The way you design them is quite beautiful.
The chicken coop is kind of wonky. So you're saying that I'm kind of, I'm beautiful in a wonky way? Well guys, like we always say, appreciate you watching. Hope everyone has a fantastic day. You all take care, and we'll look forward to seeing you back up here at the cabin again next time.